Welcome to the Final Four edition of the Smart Gamble Guys. I am Norm, of course, joined by our usual gaggle of stars here. We've got CJ and the star of the show, Lily. What is going on, guys? We've made it. The tournament's almost over.
Almost
Yeah.
over. Yeah, good tournament as well. Good tournament. We'll get into it.
It has been a fantastic tournament. We're going to be talking about the Final Four and all that fun stuff very shortly here. But we want to recap. Of course, we had the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 take place over this past weekend. And we also had some NFL news. Again, recently, we've, kind of had a running story here where that seems to have breaking news right before we start recording these. So we like our football here on the Smart Gamble, so we'll dive into that first before we jump into all the madness that's been happening. I wanted to touch on Bruce Arians retiring. That's interesting.
Totally out of left field for me. And
Yeah.
being the conspiracy theorist that I am, I wonder if a condition of Tom Brady's return had to do with Bruce Arians moving on. That's just a conspiracy theory. You never know because, again, I mean, Brady's an offensive guy, he's a quarterback. Arians is more of a defensive guy. And of course, you have Byron Leftwich, who Brady trusts. But you kind of wonder if there was some things there that maybe would have forced Arians' hand. But that's just a conspiracy theory. Just me.
Hey, I love conspiracy theories too. So, especially when it comes to the NFL and high-powered, controlling quarterbacks like Tom Brady, and that may not have been the only reason why he retired, but I wouldn't throw that out completely.
Yeah.
And yeah, you mentioned Todd Bowles takes over as head coach now. Obviously, you two familiar with Todd Bowles, correct?
Oh, yeah. Longtime Jets fan, for
Former
sure.
head coach of the Jets, who honestly, in his time with the Jets, it wasn't a great tenure, but I thought he kind of got a bad rap to be honest, in his stint in New York.
Yeah, the problem with the Jets is not necessarily the coaches that have been through there. It's been the front office. I mean, they've been bad for a long time now. To me, if you have any pride in your team, if you want your team to compete every year, that's definitely a general manager's job to do that.
Yeah.
Todd Bowles is fine. He's a good defensive coach. He's fine. I have no issue with him per se. And that's probably why Brady doesn't have an issue with him in Tampa. He does solid defense and so forth. So, so we'll see how it goes with Tampa next year.
Former player as well, similar to Bruce Arians, even though some people don't believe that. But yeah, I think that connection will have a lot of eyes on it down there in Tampa, as Brady retiring and then returning is gonna have enough eyes on it already. But now the Arians Bowl situation, definitely Tampa Bay is still one of the epicenters of the NFL. And then the defending champs signed Bobby Wagner. The Rams signing him to a big deal.
Right.
It feels like the rich keep getting richer.
Yeah, this is no doubt has been the most exciting NFL offseason ever in my mind. So many big names trading teams, either on their own or being traded. So there's no doubt football has it figured out as far as that. The hot stove, as they say, they keep things going even when the season isn't going. So
I like how you mentioned the hot stove, because baseball can have its own way.
That is one. I mean, it's funny. As a little boy, I love baseball. I love my Yankees and so forth. But that sport is got to do some overhauling. There's no doubt about it. They appeal to people who are older, people who really are not the young, hip folks anymore.
Nope.
They've got to make some changes in that league for sure. That's my main MLB statement.
Yes, I think I'm at 100% agreement with you there. I know, Lily, you've got some. It's well, we're recording this. It is on the last day of March, and it's never too early to start doing some power rankings and stuff like that. I know you've got a quick little glance at some power rankings after free agency's kind of shaked out for the most part. The draft will be coming up, but I'm interested to see what the rankings say.
Yes, some are very interesting. All right, you ready? Number 1, Buffalo, previously number 3.
Okay.
Number 2, the Rams, previously number 1.
The defending champs. I almost think they should be number 1, but
number 3, the Bengals, previously number 4.
Previous AFC champs.
Number 4, Tampa Bay, previously number 19.
Oof.
So that's probably like
That's
when
a Brady
the last
factor.
time they did that, I was Brady retired and now he's back. Yeah.
Right. So San Fran, is number 5, previously number 6.
Okay.
Number 6 is Green Bay, previously number 5.
You brought it.
Number 7 is the Chargers, previously number 11. Number 8, check this jump out. Broncos. Number 8, previously number 23.
You go out and get Russell
Russell
Wilson.
Wilson. Yep.
Yep. And Kansas City, number 9, previously number 2. And number 10, the Titans, previously number 8.
Hmm.
Now, I'm a little puzzled, like Dallas is number 12,
I was gonna ask, where's Dallas?
previously 7. The Colts are 16, previously 9. I don't understand that one.
Yeah, there's a couple of head scratchers there, including the Colts as well.
Yes,
I think they're a much
18.
better team with
Oh,
Matty
Matt
Ice
Ryan
than they
over
were.
Carson
Yeah.
Wentz. Yeah.
No doubt about that.
And Arizona is 18, previously 13.
18.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, I think that there's
Miami's
issues.
ahead of them at 17.
Well, Miami's definitely gotten better. They got some good
They have.
players in the offseason,
Yes,
but I
they
think
have.
there's a Kyler Murray thing going on in Arizona. I mean,
Yep.
I think during the Pro Bowl, he kind of unfollowed the Arizona Cardinals, social media sites and so
Social
forth.
media rumors.
I mean, and usually when that kind of stuff happens, it's not because he's really unhappy with the team, it's because he wants more money. He's negotiating for a
Negotiation.
contract. So as soon as he signs it, his next deal, oh, I never wanted to leave. And so yeah, it's a ploy for
Want
money.
to finish
There's no
my
doubt.
career here?
Yeah, no doubt. But I think the Chiefs are a little bit too low. I think the Chargers are a little bit too high. And believe
Yeah.
it or not, I think the Bengals are a bit overpriced. I think they got a bump from Joe Burrow, kind of being Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I don't see them being quite as, I mean, they'll be good. They'll be a playoff team, but I don't see them being quite that high.
Yeah.
I agree.
Being the defending AFC champs definitely helps, but I think we all talked about it at the end, where we kind of don't see the Bengals. I mean, we see them as a playoff team, but they were on a run this season. They might have arrived a little earlier ahead of schedule than some people would have liked, or the way the AFC shook out this year. But the Chiefs being 9, I know they traded Tyreek Hill, but I don't know if I'm putting them at 9.
The Chiefs
No.
will figure it out. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
No doubt about that.
So that's very interesting. Maybe we can check in on that. I guess before we jump into March Madness as well, we can throw out that, first of all, thanks for joining us and watching and tuning in wherever you guys may have been watching us for this March Madness couple stint of episodes here. But we might be doing some other episodes throughout the summer, whether it's some horse racing, some NBA finals, whatever it may be. We can maybe I'm sure the draft will be taking place before the Kentucky Derby. So
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Maybe we can take a look after the NFL draft at the rankings, how it changed since then too. But keep an eye. Best way to do it, subscribe to the channel, whether on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, follow on social media at The Smart Gamble. That's how boom, episode got uploaded, and you'll be notified of that. Hit the bell, get all the notifications and whatnot. But let's jump into it, guys. Sweet 16,
Let's
Elite 8,
Do it.
out the door. Cinderella runs out the door.
Yes.
Well, I take that back. There's one kind of Cinderella run. I mean, UNC is an 8 seed.
Right.
Yeah. St. Peter's again. They captivated America with their run. They were the only 15 seed ever to go this far, so I give them all the credit. But ultimately, Cinderella, life of the party when she was there, but she had a fake ID. They threw her out of the party, and I think we'll figure out next year. Next year when you're legal, Cinderella, we'll see you back here.
I mean, you can even throw out Miami as well, making it to the Elite 8. We had another double-digit seed making a run, but it's funny. You mentioned it, CJ, when at the start of the show. What a great tournament we've had. One of the more fun tournaments I can remember in like the last decade or so, with all the upsets and the fun games, the entertaining close games and whatnot. And despite having an 8 seed, 2 seeds, and we do still have a 1 seed, the bluest of blue chips have made the Final Four.
Somehow the cream rises to the top. So we got those blue buds there. We got Villanova, we got Kansas, Carolina, Duke. And of course, remember last week I said something about these basketball gods. Somehow, some way they figure out a way to get this great matchup. Coach K going out, go up against your historic rival. Somehow, some way they figured it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy, and we'll jump into those final four games. But like, I mean, Lily, I mean, I'm sure you're happy. Villanova made. I'm sure your dad's happy.
Yeah,
Big East is represented.
yeah. And I had 3 out of 4 last week.
Nice.
Yes. Lily,
Nice.
if you tuned in
Final
last
four.
week, you'll know that Lily, we were doing some Final Four predictions. Lily nailed all 4 except for Duke, who I think.
And I almost picked Duke. Remember we spoke about that?
Yes,
And I
we did.
chickened out.
I think the amount of Duke hate. We had 5 people on the show last week, obviously with your nephew Brandon and your father Tom on the show, and there was a lot of Duke hate permeating through the show. But I think there was a little timidness to take the Blue Devils, which I don't blame you, but 3 out of 4 is not bad. Even picking from the Sweet 16 into the Final Four, 3 out of 4 is a pretty darn good.
Pretty good.
Better than any of us other teams. But yeah, kind of wild shakeout. A couple 1 seeds go down, but Kansas being the 1 seed that does get in, is that anything to do with they might have had the easiest pathway to get in? When you look at the seeds they play too, because of some of the upsets in their region. I'm not trying to discredit Kansas, but I'd take that path they got in.
Like, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, right? Yeah, I thought that their path was pretty easy as well. I was going to describe it such as if Lily and I had an arm wrestling match, Lily would beat me in a couple of seconds. That's how easy I thought Kansas hit their ride here. It was easy, especially when Miami got there. I said, Miami doesn't even belong in this tournament. So
No.
there's no,
No,
and
they didn't.
even though we're up by 6, I think at halftime, Miami was a little lucky and they lost by 26. So that tells you loud and clear, they didn't belong in that game.
Yeah, I think their toughest matchup was Providence in the Sweet 16, who
That is
gave them a
true.
run for their money. Kansas could go out and win this whole damn thing. Like, I'm not saying, like I'm not saying, but I'm saying I am not saying, because they could go out and win this. But it does help because of the madness of the tournament. You get some easier matchups, and you can afford to have that bad first half and be able to overcome it just because of your talent level. If you're playing a higher talented team, then you might not be able to overcome that bad half, you know?
Yep. It's all about matchups. It's all about who you play, when you play them. And Kansas, again, great team. They certainly had the easiest road for sure. I mean, I think they don't survive in other regions, but this one they survived, and they may still win it all. We'll see.
Right. We will absolutely see. And let's jump into the matchups, guys. Let's talk about Villanova, Kansas is going to be a great game. Don't get me wrong, but we got to start. You mentioned the basketball god, CJ. The only way this could be better if it was in the final.
Absolutely.
UNC Part 3. Coach K's legacy on the line. I mean, this is what hoops fans dream for. This is what college hoops fans dream for. This is what TV execs dream for.
This is probably going to be the most watched college basketball game, maybe of all time, in my mind.
Wow.
Everything the way it's lining up, Duke, Carolina, that historic rivalry. This is Coach K's last go round. There's no way this thing has to be the highest rated game this year. It'll probably be the highest rated game in a long time, if not ever.
Yeah, and it's a revenge game for Duke because UNC beat them in the last conference game.
That's correct.
That's a great point.
So, but you could also look at it another way, that UNC has their number. You know what I mean? Like you could look at it both sides of the coin.
And that's what makes it so good is you're 100% right. UNC went into Cameron Indoor and beat Coach K in his last game there. And you're not thinking on, what was that, end of January or whenever that might have, no, that would have been February.
February, yeah.
What you're not thinking that, all right, Duke UNC, Coach K is not gonna play UNC ever again. The only way you look at the bracket comes out, it'd have to be in the Final Four. That's not gonna happen.
Yep. And there you go.
And now here we go. We get the final matchup, and you're right. UNC, the reason why I think UNC was able to beat Duke in Cameron in that game was of that motivation of we get to beat Coach K in his last game. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. But now you got to do it again. Can you get up to that level again with the pressure of being in the Superdome with maybe the most people ever watching a college basketball game of all time? This is, I don't know, who is the pressure on, guys?
Something, pressure, I'm guessing it's probably more in Coach K.
Right.
For all the reasons you mentioned. But and the other thing on top of that is, from a betting line, Carolina is 8-2 against Duke in the last 10 against the spread. Carolina has dominated this rivalry the past couple of years. So even though Duke got them earlier in the year, I'm not sure if there was injuries going on or something. I think it was like a 30-point difference, which never happens in this rivalry.
No.
But for the most part, Carolina controls Coach K in recent years. And Hubert Davis is making his first Final Four appearance as a coach. So I think there's experience factor there that favors Duke. So I think there's more pressure on Coach K in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's hard to argue that with all said thing. And you mentioned the line, Duke is favored in the game too. Don't think. Let's not sit here and don't think the coaches, the training staff, the players, they know the lines on these games. Players aren't betting on them. I'm sure they're not. But
oh yeah. Wink, wink, and nod, nod.
Hey, well, what's the new subscriber we got here from Durham? What? But yeah, I think I think the pressure is squarely on Duke and Coach K's shoulders. But that's the thing. The pressure can be on Coach K's shoulders to coach this game. But he's handled pressure. I mean, this guy's career. I kind of joked his legacy's on the line. Win or lose, Coach K's legacy does not change.
Absolutely.
On this
Absolutely.
game. I'll amend that. If they lose, his legacy does not change. This would be a heck of a feather in the cap, though, if he wins.
So nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Right. And I think you could say that for UNC to some extent, too. Like, if they lose, they're an 8 seed.
Right.
All right. Well, yeah, actually, you know what? They do have something to do. They can still go see Duke win a championship in Coach K's final.
That's true. I mean, I think in some ways, obviously, Duke was playing for a championship, so there's no doubt about that. But if they win this game and lose the next one, I think they're okay. I think as long as they beat the historic rival, last time they played them, I think they'll be okay.
And you got Krzyzewski to a final in his last year. I think that, I mean, you can't expect in college basketball, you can't go out and expect a champ. Go ask Gonzaga if you can expect a championship.
Right.
Like. Even this year, it's the same thing happened, and they don't even sniff it this year.
Yeah, I think like much as the case in college football and college basketball as well. As long as you beat your historic rival in a given year, even if you don't win a championship, that's usually as big as something bigger than that. So
you nailed it, and let's talk about that for a second. Because especially in college sports, you can ask an Alabama fan. Nick Saban's got how many rings now? How many times the Tide won the title? They'll take those. But as long as they win the Iron Bowl, they don't care.
Exactly.
As long as USC can beat UCLA, they don't care. Like it doesn't. As long as Texas can beat Oklahoma can make the playoffs as many times as they want. Texas can flounder. As long as Texas wins the Red River Shootout, they don't care.
As long as, I mean, that could be the only win of the year, and it'll be okay. As long as we beat your historic rival.
So because you mentioned it, Duke UNC is the ratings for this are going to be through the roof because you cannot follow college basketball whatsoever. Duke UNC. Where does this rivalry rank for you guys in like the pantheon of sports?
It might be the best. It certainly is the best in college basketball for sure.
Yeah.
That's an easy one, but it might be it's certainly top 5. Yankees, Red Sox, and baseball.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
right.
Of course, in college football, you have several really good ones as well. But Ohio State, Michigan. You mentioned Texas, Oklahoma, but this one might be the top. This one might be the top.
Yeah,
I would have no argument with you if you told me that was the top.
Yeah, I think it's got to be close just because of the pedigree of both programs. Like sometimes a rivalry is so one-sided. I was about to start. Are we all Yankees fans on here?
Yes, I am. No doubt.
I grew up watching the Mets. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's going perfect, Lily.
I feel for you.
But I think, for some times, like some rivalries, even though they've got the history, like Ohio State, Michigan has the history, but it's so lopsided right now. And even for a long period of time, the Yankees and Red Sox was so one-sided. Now it seems to be one-sided on the other way. I don't want to talk about that, but I think Duke UNC is one of those rivalries. It's so evenly matched. I think that adds to why it might make it be the number one.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, let's talk about the other game. There is another game happening. I think that's one of the things that people have to remember sometimes is there is 2 games included in the Final Four, and we don't want to discredit Villanova and Kansas. And I'm pretty sure I know who Lily's taking in this one.
Nova, baby, all the way.
But I think, you can say Nova keeps losing these players and they keep making it back. And same with Kansas. This is just Jay Wright, Bill Self. I mean, these are 2 of the top coaches in all of college basketball. That's not what this comes down to, right?
Yeah, I think it probably does come down to the coaches, but I think just from a standpoint of historic, Kansas obviously has been in blue blood for a lot of years. They are always a perennial top team. Jay Wright has made Villanova into that type of program as well. He came there and he's got 2 titles already. He can get a 3rd one this year. I think it's really a credit to the fact that both of these coaches understand how this game has changed. Years ago, when you were looking at college basketball and looking at guys going into the NBA, it was always the big center. It was Olajuwon, it was Ewing, and so forth. Yeah. Now college basketball has become a guard-oriented game, 3-point shooting, defense, and both of these coaches understand it. And you can get Jay Wright, who doesn't really get guys in the NBA a whole lot, but yet they're always among the best guard crew in college basketball. So they get it.
Yeah, and he gets the guards too that aren't going to get recruited by Kansas and because they're 6'1". They're slightly undersized, but you know what Jay Wright teaches them? Heart and greatness and playing in the conference that they do. But here's the thing: is can Nova overcome losing Justin Moore, one of the guys we're talking about right now? And
I hope so.
Yeah. one of the most complete guards in the country.
Right.
But I would say Nova probably would be the favorite to win it all among this whole Final Four crew, if not for that injury. I think they could still win the next game and maybe even win 2, but it's gonna be so much harder now with that one injury.
And the new guys got to do well.
They probably would be favored to win it all with more healthy. Is that why you think? Because it's a 1 seed versus a 2 seed matchup, and Kansas is a 4-point spread, 4-point favorite, I believe. Last I checked.
4.5, yeah.
4.5, yeah.
Is that pretty much? Would you think that line might be flip flopped if he's healthy?
I totally agree. Yes, flip flopped.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 point favor of Nova, for sure.
So an 8. I mean, that's the crazy thing about basketball is a player could have such a massive swing, one player, and I completely agree. It's going to be interesting to see how much that affects it. But Jay Wright, if there's any guy that can overcome adversity like that and coach that 6th man to be that 5th guy now, it's going to be Jay Wright. Well, we mentioned those spreads of both games, guys. We are a gambling show.
We are making that money.
I want your picks, guys. Who are we taking to make the championship? I should say, let me rephrase that. Who are we taking against the spread in these Final Four games? And then we'll talk about who we take to make the championship and whatnot.
Okay, if you want me to start, I will. Looking at Nova. Nova always covers the spread. They always do. They're 4-0 in this tournament against the spread. They're 19-4 against the spread in the last 4 years. Nova is always going to cover. And I think the fact that they had that one major injury, and I think people might be tempted to go with Kansas in this one. I think Nova, even if they don't win the game, I think Nova stays within that 4.5.
I agree.
I am in complete agreement. I think because of the player of Moore going down, you see that line swing. One player can make a big difference in basketball, but they are still a very solid team. And that's why I think, I don't know if they win the game, but covering is where I'm lying for Villanova. Now, what about Duke UNC? Everything said, we'll be laying the points with Duke, guys. CJ, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think this one has storybook written all over it. I think that I think Duke, even, you know what? Take it back. As far as the point spread goes, I think this is going to be a closer game than people think. I think Carolina covers the 4.
I agree.
All right,
I
so
agree.
Carolina covers the 4.
You're taking UNC. So I'm on an island here thinking Duke wins and covers.
Yeah, I think this game, because there's so much emotion in this game, I think that this game, it might even be an overtime game. Maybe it's back and forth, 1 point
God,
here,
can you
2 points here, go to overtime or 2 overtimes. I think this is going to be a 1 or 2 possession game at most. So I think Carolina stays close. I think Carolina covers.
I think I just heard some CBS and TBS execs purses just, oh, it's overtime, overtime, please.
They can fill that advertising. They can just go nuts.
Please, money to our ears. All right, so I think it stands that we're all in agreement that Villanova at least covers, and UNC is what CJ and Lily are taking. I'm saying that Duke wins and covers.
Okay.
Who is our championship matchups then? I have obviously Duke being in the final, and I'm going to take Nova actually to win. I'm going to take a Duke Nova matchup.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Duke Villanova.
Duke Villanova. CJ?
I think all of us are in the same.
Yours?
I think it's 3 for 3. I think it's Duke and Nova as well.
So Nova overcomes the injury. Duke overcomes the pressure for what would be an awesome final if we got. I think any matchup that we get out of these 4 squads is going to be awesome. But
Yeah.
so all are in agreement though that Duke Villanova would be the matchup that we think happens. Is anyone rooting for a different matchup though?
No.
Nope.
I'm rooting for Nova Duke.
Me too.
It's funny, and I think CJ, you were part of the Coach K hate a little bit last week, were you not?
I was, and here's a story that I promised you guys last time. And this happened about maybe 2 years ago. There was a game when Duke played, and I forget the team it was, but the big star of the other team, he got the winning basket or maybe the last couple of baskets, and Duke went down. So these two meet at half court, and Duke and Coach K is saying something to the fact that, you know something, you're better than this. You should not be celebrating and doing all kinds of stupid that. And so what happens is that at a press conference, he denies saying what he actually said to this player. And it took like a couple of days later when somebody with a microphone who was there, one of those overhead microphones, actually caught the exact conversation. And so Coach K says, well, you know, I was inaccurate as what I said. No, you lied. You know, and nobody would have ever known. He ran this guy over with the bus. You know, he threw him under the bus. And the only reason why he had to correct himself is because somebody caught it on camera. Somebody caught it on the microphone. Right. So that to me maybe, I mean, I'm not a Duke hater. I'm not even a Coach K hater, but that one situation really made me lose a lot of respect for that man.
Yeah, I do remember that. I'm trying to remember the team as well, but I do remember that vividly. And that was one of the instances. There's been a couple others in previous years as well where he gets put on a pedestal. And yes, his coaching pedigree should put him on that pedestal, but sometimes you got to remember he is a man, and man is flawed, and he's got plenty of flaws as well. And all that said, though, I just think I'm a sports fan. Sports fans love drama. Ain't no better drama than having Coach K playing coaches in a final for his last game. So that's why I'm rooting for Duke to make it.
There you go.
I think we're all pulling for Nova to win, though, right?
No doubt.
Yes.
No doubt.
It's tough. It's tough to throw out a line on a game that isn't set in stone, though, so we can't really make a pick on the final. But it's interesting. The odds, if you go look right now, I believe Villanova is the best odds you can get right now. They're like plus 500. So if you're throwing them for win the title, plus 500 with only 4 teams left. They only got to win 2 games.
I'll take it.
Right?
I'll take it.
that sounds like it's pretty intriguing. Kansas and Duke, I think they were plus 160 was Duke, and Kansas was plus 180. And then UNC might have been plus 460 or around that. I believe that was on FanDuel. I was looking those up earlier today. So even still in the Final Four, you can get some pretty decent odds on the underdogs of the 2 games to win it all if you're looking to make a bet like that. So Been a heck of a tournament, guys. Been a heck of a few episodes, huh?
Yes.
Love it. Love
Been
it.
fun. A lot
It's
of
been
fun.
great.
A lot
We'll
of
be
fun.
back and better than ever next year as well. And even in the ones that we do this coming spring and summer, but we'll be better and better.
Absolutely. That's
Hell yeah.
that's the goal here. So as CJ said, we might be back. Who knows when? You'll know when if you like and subscribe. So do that on YouTube's Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That way you get the notifications when we put out a new episode. Thanks for tuning in and for liking and subscribing. And always check out the website, of course, at thesmartgamble, and on social media at thesmartgamble. For CJ, for Lily, Norm. Closing thoughts, guys, and thanks for tuning in. Right?
Go
Yeah.
Nova. Go Nova.
Go Nova. Thanks
It's
for
the
joining
way-
us, everyone. Goodbye,
Go
my baby
Nova.
boys.